Hello, thank you for joining. Today we're going to talk about a new feature of ESPRIT TNG release 3.6, CAD Data Import Diagnostics. This particular project came to being because we saw that there were faults, errors inside the solid bodies that were being imported into ESPRIT, and the user didn't know there were problems with the solid until the user tried to apply toolpath to that particular solid, causing maybe gouges or problems with the finished part on the machine. So the objective of this particular project is to detect and report problems with the imported solid. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. One is an option that we've added to the import export here, and we can actually prompt the user to run the CAD diagnostics whenever the user imports a solid into ESPRIT. The other way is to manually run it here on the Analysis tab. You can see right now the command is not active because I do not have a solid selected. It basically works as a noun-verb type of command, and I'll show you how both ways actually work. By the way, this particular prompt to run CAD diagnostics on import is the default behavior. So let's go ahead and import a file. And I'm going to import a parasolid file. Now, one thing I do want to check here with my parasolid is that I'm importing solids. So let me go ahead and switch that to solids. This particular command, the diagnostics, only works on solids. Let's go ahead and open it up. And you can see I'm now prompted to run diagnostics on the part. So I can say yes or no. We'll say yes, obviously. Diagnostics will be run. There's my solid there, and you can see that basically all of my errors are shown here. Now this particular file actually has, I believe it's 2 solids. It's only detecting faults on one of the solids. If it was detecting faults on other solids, they would be listed here, kind of as in the tree view that you see here. Now, how do I know what the problem is or where the problem is occurring? So I can hover over here, this particular warning, and it's telling me that the vertex does not lie on the edge's curve. And you can do that for the other ones as well. Now, if I select a particular warning or error, I can then right mouse click and say zoom to fit, and it'll zoom in on that particular face that's giving you the warning. So you can see it highlights it in red, and now you know that this particular face is faulty. And I can do that for any of my faults here on the list. What's also kind of cool is I can also right mouse click and copy all of this information to a clipboard, paste it to a Word or maybe a text file, and then I can use this to go back to my designer, go back to my CAD system, and help repair the particular solid. Now, I mentioned there's 2 ways of actually running this particular command. The other way is from the Analysis tab, and you can see here if I select, there are 2 solids, I'll select both of them at the same time, and we'll go ahead and run the CAD diagnostics, and we should get the same results as we did on import. Now, if you happen to run it on a solid which does not have any errors, you'll get a message there are no faults with the selected solids. Now, what's kind of cool about this is I can not only detect, say, errors, but I also will display warnings as well. So there's actually a difference between a warning and an error. Let's go ahead and import a file that will give us both warnings and errors and see how that works. So again, we're prompted to run the diagnostics on the part and go say yes. And if I zoom out, you can see that I have 2 errors and 1 warning. So basically there's a warning. It's not as severe. It may not affect your, say, your machining down the line, but it's good to know this particular information about the solid. And then once again, I can go and zoom to fit on the particular invalid faces. Now, what happens if I try to run this when I'm importing something that is not a solid? So let's take an example here, and let's import Let's import a DWG file, for example. So we'll go ahead and import this. This does not support solids, it only supports wireframes. So you can see, even though I have my prompt for CAD Diagnostics to run on import, it will not run if you do not have a solid in the file that you're importing. So no surfaces, no wireframe geometry. And as you probably guessed, some file types do support, when on import, more than one type. So meaning I could maybe use this one again. And so this is a parasolid file, but as we saw earlier, I had to switch to make sure that my import type was set to solids so that it would run the CAD Diagnostics. If I were to import this as surfaces, there we go. You can see it doesn't prompt me because, again, I happen to have only surfaces here. What about IGES files? Because we do have the option of sewing or stitching the IGES file into one solid on import. If you do select that option, it will see it as a solid and it will prompt you to run the CAD Diagnostics on import. So pretty nice new feature here. Of course, the next step is, well, now that we can detect the warnings, what can we do about it? And that would be the next project that we'd be looking into, is healing of the faulty solids. Well, thanks for joining, and as always, if you have any questions, please let us know.